in that moment, everyone was crying. Everyone's super emotional. I mean, I was crying. Like I said, I was in the airport watching it. It's like,
I'll add one thing to what you said, and it's special that we can do that, but it's more special when you have people in your life that are worth doing that for.
your journey, your speed, your story. Find your pace. Victor Zeitoune, welcome to Find Your Pace.
Thank you for having me. This is so cool.
No, thank you for being here. I actually have to admit that I didn't know a whole lot about you until the last couple of weeks. And we have a website for this podcast where people can submit who they want to see on this podcast. In the last week or so, so many people have said, you need to get Victor on. And so immediately I'm like, who's Victor? And so obviously I look you up. I knew of you. It didn't register because I knew of your run club. So I'm so excited to obviously have you on here because I feel like we can relate in a lot of ways, but also your story is so cool. And so just to give a little context of who you are to the people, you are an entrepreneur, co-founder of Almost Friday Run Club, a 230-something marathoner, and co-creator of the $1 Backyard Ultra. And I want to start from the beginning, before the run clubs and before the startups. You started on a pretty traditional path. What were you doing before entrepreneurship?
Yeah. Well, first off, thank you for everything and for inviting me. I think it's really funny and in the best way that in most rooms I'm in, no one has any idea who I am. And it's like my favorite thing. My not favorite thing is when people figure out some of the things that I've done and it changes the tone in a good way. It's kind of funny. But yeah, a little bit about me. I started in a very traditional path as an investment banker. I went to Columbia for college. I did not play sports. I did not grow up super athletic. And I thought I would just do like the traditional, become a banker, go to a hedge fund, make some money, walk into the sunset. And I hated my life. It took a couple months into banking to realize how miserable I was. Mm-hmm. At the same time, like when I graduated college, I started running, and I think a lot of it just fell into each other. Mm-hmm. And one thing led to another. And I guess here we are.
So basically right out of college, right into banking.
Yeah.
And it only took a couple of months for your
I think most people have that realization so early on.
Yeah.
And it depends like what your end goal is. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what my end goal was. If your end goal is like to a certain level of success and you define that by a certain amount of money, then you could really drive yourself in a career like that. Mm-hmm. And I think for me, I knew pretty early on that money wouldn't buy me happiness as much as you could buy things. Like, pretty basic. I wear the same black t-shirt and black pants every day.
Yes.
And I just knew I wanted more. And I started to find a lot of that through running at the time. And I just knew that I wouldn't stay on that route and I would find something that made me happy.
So was there a specific moment where you were like, I want to build something of my own?
There wasn't a specific moment where it was like the aha moment. Mm-hmm. I grew up with my dad having started his company and getting to see like all he did. And I knew that I wanted something like that. It was incredible to me, all he had done for our family. And like, it was never easy when we were when I was a child and my siblings were, he traveled a lot. As we grew older, like times were great sometimes and not great others, but he always had like this really awesome brave face on, and we'd go to his office and it was so fun. And I knew that one day I wanted to do something like that. Mm-hmm. And banking wouldn't have got me there. And so that's where I was like, I need to reinvent this and do something a little bit more fun.
That's cool because I think a lot of entrepreneurs do come from parents or grandparents, or they know someone close to them usually has done their own thing to kind of make them want to go in that path too. Or, I mean, I think I would just say it's more rare, I think, for someone to be the first in their generation to start something. Maybe it's a little bit more scary to do it that way, but it's also for you having a role model like your father who had his own thing. And it also maybe gave you a little light to, like you just said, there were times where it might have been a little harder and times where it was a little bit better. Maybe like business was booming one year, the next year, not so good. You have to wear the same sneakers to school all year. So I think that's really cool to have somebody in your life that is like that. So when did you officially make the leap into no longer banking and I want to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah. So funny enough, I was supposed to make the leap, not to straight to entrepreneurship, to my first pivot in March of 2020.
Oh, no.
So the Tuesday the world shut down, I was supposed to be in Boston for an interview, a super day where I was supposed to have my final 4 interviews. And my goal was to move there at the time. I got COVID that week. Me and my dad are home. My mom's there, my siblings, and we're just like hiding in our rooms, sick with COVID. But at the time, it was like so taboo to tell people you were sick. So they canceled my interview. I'm like, thank God. Like, I can't go anyway. I took all those interviews over the following weeks over Zoom. I would get out of bed, put on a suit, waist up, sit in this thing. I did stand up in one of the interviews, and like they obviously saw that I was like in my Adidas,
Sweatpants,
whatever. And they laughed. But I ended up getting that offer, and they're like, okay, great. We want you to move to Boston like next month. It's like, I have COVID. I don't think you guys realize how serious this is.
Yeah.
So either way, that ended up manifesting itself. I joined them remotely a year later after turning it down. And then 3 years after that, I was trying to host a holiday party for a run club, and I couldn't find a venue. And I reached out to 73 places. I grew up in New York. I figured this would be easy. And I just knew that there was something broken. And that led me to quitting my job and starting Party Place, which is what I do now full time.
Well, let's talk about it. What is Party Place?
So think of Resi or Open Table, but instead of making a dinner reservation, you're renting out the venue or you're renting a private room. So it's your birthday coming up or your friend's engagement. Instead of calling every bar and restaurant across New York, you discover, book, and reserve that place in a matter of minutes. Well,
because that's like the old school way, right? You would have to like either walk in, call, hopefully you get somebody that's not just the hostess to actually give you answers. And then they kind of give you the runaround all the time.
But that old school way is still what everyone's doing today.
Yeah.
Like I went to 3 different venues today that we work really closely with. And outside of our platform, I'm talking to these owners who own hospitality groups, anywhere from 5 to 10 venues each. They're spending 3 to 5 hours a day answering emails of literally people saying, hey, I want to host a party. And they're like, hey, we'd love to host you. How many people do you? And they go through this back and forth. And so we're building more enhanced solutions for this. Obviously, we have our marketplace, partyplace.com, find and reserve 350 venues, soon to be a much bigger product as we work with these venues to build that. But that old school way is still what everyone's doing today. And like, I don't blame them. It's just how it works, but it doesn't have to be.
Is this only in New York?
Right now.
Okay. With dreams and goals big beyond.
Yes.
I would say it's a very niche New York thing though, because when I was with, now that I have Run Club and over the years, we've been looking for situation, restaurants or whatever it is to host things. There have been some websites, I guess, that have like popped up that are similar-ish, I guess. But I looked, to be transparent, I looked at yours today and I was like, let me just like click it and see if I wanted to host something. I can't tell you how nice of the transparency it is, because you could put in location, you could put in occasion, and then you click on it and you're like, okay, here's the date. And then it'll tell you for this amount of people, for this date, for this time, this amount of money. And you're like,
done.
That's it?
That's all. Because that's all you need.
Yes.
All that back and forth is to get you to that. And we're just like, what if we cut that out? And so now we're taking steps to really cut that out.
Okay.
Which is like how this grows. And as much as it is like a niche New York thing, think of New York in every major city in the US. Like it's New York, it's Boston, it's Miami, it's DC, it's LA, it's Chicago. It's more cities than you realize.
Yeah.
And that's why I always compare to Resi. Like Open Table's everywhere. Every restaurant across the US, like Open Table could work for. Resi chooses hot markets.
Oh.
And I think we are closer to that because this doesn't work everywhere. I don't need this in
Oklahoma.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know anything about it. If you're watching in Oklahoma, maybe
no
call us.
No, my boyfriend's family's there, so no
cool.
judgment. That was why there's not a lot there. So that's
so yeah, they don't need us.
No, they don't need you. So how long has it been around?
We launched a little under 2 years ago.
Okay.
I really think our launch was last summer, as much as it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
The first year was like 10 users, 20 users, 50. Now, I mean, last month we had 50,000 users on the site in just New York. And the first couple of years, the first year we had like 20, 30 venues. We have 350 now. And so as much as that sounds great, ways to go. And like, I always want more. But this past year is where I'm like, we are doing it.
Yep. So in the past 2 years, would you say was there a point where you're like, wow, this isn't going to work out?
I don't think that way. And for better or for worse, I don't think that way. And that is just the way I approach life. I don't know. I've really never thought that. Like there's times where I'm afraid we won't figure it out the way we're thinking about it, but I don't ever think it'll just collapse and just not work. I don't know.
Love that.
Maybe that's delusional, but I need to be delusional.
You have to be delusion. You have to have delusion. You have to be delusional in order to make it, because otherwise you're just gonna, any no's or whatever, instead of it just being redirection, you're gonna be like, the sky is falling, like we're collapsing. No, the reason why I asked that question is because I'm curious of your mindset and your mind. I mean, that's exactly the mindset it should be, is like, we have no other options. It has to work out.
It has to work.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I was on a run with a good friend a couple weeks ago, and I had said something like that. She looked at me and she's like, no, you're just optimistic. And I said, I don't think that's optimistic. I think that's just the way I think about life.
Positive.
And I don't even know if it's positive. It's going to work out one way or another.
Yeah.
How that works out, I can't tell you. In 3 years from now, some version of success will exist.
Ask me in 3 years, and then I'll tell you what happened. And just rinse, repeat every couple years.
If you asked me 6 months ago where I'd be right now, I mean, I never thought I'd be sitting on this chair. So it's just crazy.
So were you working full time until you launched this?
I was working full time until we started building it.
Okay.
So the idea was there. I wasn't necessarily ready to bet the house on it.
Okay.
So we did a couple of interesting tests to see if there was enough demand for this. And the moment we realized there was, I left my job. Okay. I'm a very all-in kind of person. I think it's very hard to be spread thin and do anything well. Mm-hmm. So when I was ready to do this, I was ready to do this.
That's okay. That's good to know. So what was the gap there? How long did it take to build this?
2.5 months. We built a really terrible product though. Our first product, I remember we were teetering and I looked at the team and I was like, guys, I don't care how bad this is. We need to choose a date, and whatever we are at that date, we're launching. It could be terrible. It's not. And so we just launched and it didn't work. Like, people didn't know it didn't work. If they made requests, it would come to me or my co-founder, and then we would call the owner of the bar that we knew and we'd be like, hey, this request came in. Could you take it? And then we would hit the accept button. It would go to the person. They didn't know it didn't work.
No.
But now it works. Now you go to the site and you use it, and we're no longer faking it.
No.
There's certain things that obviously could be patched. But.
Love the good fake it till you make it sometimes. Yeah. But I like that you were like, we have to set a date, because as someone who has started numerous things, if I don't set a date, it gets delayed. And this podcast, delayed. It wasn't until February where I was like, March, I think it was March 3rd, because I liked 3-3. I was like, that's it. Something is being put out on March 3rd. I don't care what it looks like and sounds like. It was not perfect. There was a lot of glitches in that episode. And there has been still like almost every episode, there might be a little thing. No one knows.
No one has any idea. Because also, like, we know what we want it to be like at the end. People don't realize our expectations and our idea of perfection. Mm-hmm. And so just put it out to the world, and honestly getting their feedback from what's missing. Sometimes you're like, oh, I thought it needed to be this. And then everyone clicks in this way. Like, oh, it's a good thing I didn't build that, because nobody wants that. They all want this other thing. Yep.
That's fascinating. Who's your co-founder?
His name is Jack Dweck. He also leads Almost Friday Run Club with me these days. Good friend. We met at a dinner about 6 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah.
Fun.
Small world. And
is that like, that's like a New York thing, I feel.
Super New York. It was a friend that I was running with at the time, and she invited all her friends to dinner. And she's like, oh, if your family's away this week, you should absolutely come for this dinner. We happen to have sat across the table from each other, and I guess the rest is history.
So cool.
Yeah.
What a cool story. We are going to continue to talk about business in a little bit, but I want to kind of go into running, because it's what I love. Although I do love business. So from what I could find, I'm just like a gist of you. You've done a 1:12:33 half marathon, a 2:36:54 marathon, a 26:28 5-miler. That I can, all of these I can't even.
I don't even remember running that 5-miler. Cool.
I mean, you correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're probably right. Okay. Honestly, I haven't raced fast in a couple of years.
And you've also done the Speed Project solo twice, and you even won one of them. First of all, the Speed Project is absolutely insane, whether you do it alone or you do it with people. The whole thing is crazy. But besides all of that, when did running come into your life?
Running came into my life on June 6th of 2018. It's actually the most unexpected story. It doesn't make any sense. Okay. But I will tell it.
Yeah.
I graduated college. I was not an athlete. The only sports I played in college was intramural co-ed basketball. It was how we were social. We had a Jewish team. It was the funniest thing that we were like winning these games. But I think because anyone that wasn't there played in the real league, and it was just like us and the social people, and we would shoot from half court and it would go in, and it was very fun. I wasn't very good. I was not the one taking those shots. I would just catch the ball, pass it to someone else, and we were great. And then college ended. My best friend got engaged, and I went to his engagement party, and it was the first time in my life I sweated through a shirt. I had never done that before. And I remember waking up the next day and I felt so gross. And I just thought to myself, like, how do I never do that again? I want to keep partying. I want to go out and like drink and have fun with my friends, but also like, I don't want to feel gross. Like, what could I do? And so the only thing I could think of was just like go for a run, because I mean, I don't lift, I don't work out, as you can tell. So I was like, if I go to the gym, I don't know what I'm doing. So I went into my closet. I found an old pair of sneakers from high school. And I was living by my parents like before life started. I ran a half mile out of breath, turned around, came home. And that's where it started.
So you're saying you sweated through your shirt like when you were out?
Yeah. And I thought it was disgusting. And I was like, and I've never done that
because
since.
You were unhealthy?
I don't know. I assumed it was.
Okay.
This is like all like nothing's logical.
No science-based evidence here.
Don't repeat this at home. Like, it doesn't work.
Okay. So you ran a half a mile.
I ran half a mile. I came home and I was like, I'll just do this a couple times a week so I could continue to like party with my friends. Mm-hmm. I wasn't a huge partier. Like, I wasn't out in the clubs till 4 a.m.
YOLO. Live your life.
Liked having a couple drinks, being out with some friends. And then that summer, it was right after college, I originally planned on just traveling until I started work. And very last minute, a friend wrote in a Facebook group, hey, I have a cool opportunity this summer. If you're interested, message me. I had a flight booked to Bali. Like, I was supposed to be away for the summer, like before I go deep into this investment banking life. And I messaged her and she said, we run this program out of Israel and there's an orphanage and we need counselors to run a day camp for these kids. And I was like, I'm in. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, when do I book my flight? Where do you need me to be? And I canceled my first trip and I booked a flight for the summer. And we spent 6 weeks living out of an orphanage in the middle of nowhere. Like
in Israel,
like in a random suburb. I don't know how to describe what the suburb was. There was like 4 buildings.
Okay.
It was this orphanage. There was one barber, one restaurant, and they called it like a grocery store.
Yeah, market.
They didn't have anything.
Yeah.
Like they had whatever I could get. And there they warned us when we came in, no drinking, no drugs, no anything. Like, what's interesting with the way they do there is instead of foster care, they have kids live in, I don't call it the system, but in these houses.
Like group homes?
It's like group homes, and they have young parents that have just got married adopt a family. So they might have 12 kids ages 3 to 6 until they're ready to start their own family. And so we lived there while the parents were working. We were running day camps and things because there's no school.
Yeah.
And a lot of their kids' parents were still alive, but they just had drug and alcohol problems. So they warned us like everything's off limits. And so that summer I was like, I have no way to cope. I don't know what I'm doing. So I don't know. I didn't really know what I was doing, but at the end of every day, I would just go run 3 to 5 miles. I was like, I need to do something. Mm-hmm. And I came back 2 months later and my local 5K was going on. I feel like this is always how it starts. Everyone jumps into it. And I hate my local 5K. Now I like it, but I used to hate it. It's on my block. Oh. So they would wake me up every year. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? This year I run now. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go sign up. And I won that 5K. It wasn't fast. I ran like 20 minutes and whatever.
That's fast.
Well,
20-minute 5K.
At the time, I thought it was
now
like
you do
speeding.
5 miles in that time.
Yes. At the time, I thought it was like the fastest man alive. I was like, I can't believe I won this 5K. It's so cool. And that's what got me down this whole running journey.
Okay. Wow. So it started with a half mile because you didn't feel healthy. And then you needed something for yourself, which is I would say a lot of people can relate to that. They needed some sort of outlet. And then not everyone goes into a 5K and wins. So I still have yet to win a 5K in my life.
We can make that happen.
You want to know how I can win? No one else show up.
We could organize the right 5K for you to win. That could be
my own 5K. Mallory 5K. That's what we could do. Well, okay. So obviously you're new to running, but were you ever competitive before? Like outside of running? Or
I'm very competitive by nature, which is I'm learning more and more as an adult. Mm-hmm. I played like local sports growing up. I was also very short growing up, but not as much anymore.
Really?
I was 4'11" until I was 15. So, I played baseball throughout.
For reference, how tall are you now?
I'm 6 feet now.
Yeah.
So, I went into high school at 4'11". And so when you're trying to play sports, when you're that little, and I played baseball. So you have like 6'6" pitchers throwing 80 mile per hour fastballs at you. I'm this tall.
Are you catching?
Well, I was trying to hit. I was like, I can't do any of this. It's not for me.
You could be Bat Boy.
I was really good until they grew, and then I did it, and I was like, this is over.
Yeah.
So I always had some competitive nature in me, and now I'm finding it more and more.
When it comes to race day, are you like fired up? I need to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very competitive against myself. I'm definitely competitive against other people, but it's part of the reason I always make jokes. I don't play team sports.
Okay.
Running's a team sport, but in a very different way.
Very different.
There's not like the, come on, you had to have done this thing. We're all working to get it. I don't know. It just feels different.
There's a team aspect of support.
Yeah.
But unless you're in a relay race or something, you're not literally like on a team.
Yeah.
You know, like if you go to a race and you have a bunch of friends that are running, you have that community aspect. Maybe you're running with someone, but pre-run, during the run, post-run, you're seeing people. But in that you have that community aspect. But at the end of the day, like a running, it's you versus you.
Yeah. And in most races, even when you're racing against people, you're typically working together for most of it. So if you're lining up for a marathon or a half marathon or a longer race, no one's idea is to drop the other person in the first mile.
Yeah.
It's, hey, why don't we pace off each other for the first X and we'll see how we feel.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you try to beat them in the end by a couple seconds, at the end of the day, you don't look back on that race years later and say, wow, I beat person X. You said, wow, I had this day and this is what I was able to do. Mm-hmm. And I did it with this person. So it is a team sport, but it's not in the same way a team sport.
Very true. That's true. Like everyone's worried about themselves. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like you just said, when you cross the finish line, 5 years later, you're going to be like, oh, I did that time at that race.
Yeah.
The only way you would even remember that person is if maybe they were in a photo with you.
Exactly.
Like, oh, so-and-so, was behind me.
Or if you trained with them for months, because you just remember, hey, I spent 4 months with person X and that was like the really cool part about this race, and race day was just a celebration.
Yeah. I love looking at it like that, especially on the days that I'm not trying to PR. I'm like, this is just a celebration. Or maybe I go out for a PR and it doesn't work out and I'm like, it's okay.
For me, it's more often that.
You're like, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to try. But if I don't, my excuse was, it was just a party.
It was a party. I had a great time training and the race day, whatever.
Yep. Well, I would like to take a moment because the running community experienced a loss in 2023. Your friend, Sam Noren. Sam was 26 years old, competing in the Santa Rosa Marathon when he collapsed just before mile 23. He was diagnosed with rhabdomyolysis, which I hope I'm pronouncing that. Rhabdo for short.
Rhabdo for short,
okay. Which is, for those that don't know what that is, it is a rare condition in which damaged muscle rapidly breaks down and releases a damaging protein into the bloodstream. He had applied to run the Speed Project and was accepted after he passed. A group of his friends, you included, thought that the best way to honor his memory was to run the race that he had been dreaming of, and you named the team the Sam Project. There's a YouTube documentary, which I had said to you before we started filming, that I watched, and I encourage everybody to go watch this. It is so raw and special, so definitely check it out. But what's really cool about it is that y'all named it If It Hurts Good. And I think Sam had journaled that in the past, I believe, and I'll let you, go into that. But it's been a couple of years since the Speed Project, and obviously since he has passed. How do you feel today to have accomplished such a big goal in honor of your friend?
That is a big question.
Because I would say when I watched the documentary, in that moment, everyone was crying. Everyone's super emotional. I mean, I was crying. Like I said, I was in the airport watching it. It's like, it is so special to have people in your life that would do that for you, So obviously his passing is awful. And I do think, though, when cases like this happens, it does bring an awareness to people that don't know what some of these things are. And rhabdo is common, unfortunately, with just a lot of runners and athletes just don't know what some of the risks are when they get into training. So, but in that documentary, post-run, obviously it was so special and you guys were very happy that you finished and all the emotions were so heightened. So I'm just curious how it feels 2-3 years later.
Yeah, it's, I'll add one thing to what you said, and it's special that we can do that, but it's more special when you have people in your life that are worth doing that for. It's unfortunate, but it takes things like that to make you realize how lucky you are. And you say the same thing about health. If something goes wrong, if you break an arm, you break a leg, you only then realize how good you were off before you didn't have that. I mean, Sam was like a pillar of our lives. We could talk about Sam as a pillar of the running community, even though the running community wasn't what it is today when he was there. But I think a large part of what it is today is because of him. Whether or not people realize that, which I think is the really special part. That race was a culmination of a lot of things. For a lot of us, Sam came into our lives after like the formative years, after college, after high school. Like we think of some of those like lifelong friends, and we think of the friend that we went to kindergarten with. I think what's very unique about the kind of person Sam was you felt like you had that relationship. Even if you only knew each other for a couple years, he immediately made you feel like you were in kindergarten again. And the year and summer leading into his passing, especially among all of us who were running at Almost Friday Run Club, which really wasn't even a run club at the point. Like it was a joke. We had an Instagram. Really, it wasn't meant to be what it is today. Was that we just got to spend time with our friends. Like we started as a group chat. And one of us, like, and literally I message and someone would send a message who's coming tomorrow. And you like that message if you were coming. But it was a group chat because it was our friends. Like you had everyone's numbers. It wasn't who is this person. And that's one of the things that made it so difficult when he passed, was that it wasn't like you lost like a member of the community that you knew tangentially. It's you lost your brother, you lost your best friend, you lost your significant other. I remember opening that email the week after Sam passed, 3 days after his funeral. Because I remember when we wrote that application, it was just crazy. Like we were representing this club and this community, and it was ironic because it was really a joke. Like it wasn't meant to be a joke, but we wrote these things knowing that maybe we'll be a community and a club by the time this happens. And then by the time the race came about, and we truly did have so many people who knew about us, but they really knew about Sam and the impact he had. Like running that race, obviously, and everything almost all of us have done since has a piece of Sam with it. And so looking back 2 years later, it's 2026 now. I mean, the feelings and the rawness of what we did then is almost as raw now, thinking about like particular moments out there. And I think for all of us, I feel this all the time, and I could speak on probably behalf of most of our friends. Anytime we're running in a desert, on the streets, on a treadmill, I hate treadmills, but wherever people run, like we all look over our shoulder and we know he's still there with us. And so that looking back to your question of like, what's that rawness and what's that feeling now years later, I mean, the gap is still just as big, if not bigger. It gets harder to fill the longer it goes. Yeah, I hope that answers the question.
No, yeah, definitely. What made you guys decide to film that whole speed project?
Honestly, we got very lucky with the way the universe, I can't even say lucky. Anytime things happen like this, I always say Sam's pulling strings upstairs. We kept saying we wanted to. But
wanted to film, or
we wanted to create something that was memorable for ourselves, but really for his family, for the people in his lives that wouldn't be out there with us and get to do this. And we couldn't find someone that we could afford to come out and create the level of documentary that you saw. Like that
Stunning.
was incredible. And lucky enough, or Sam pulling strings, Jack, my co-founder, good friend, who was supposed to be our crew and was our crew, went to a birthday that we were supposed to go to together. I couldn't go. And our friend Austin said, hey, if you're trying to record things, I have a friend who wants to make a video about a team doing this race. And he connected us with Grace and Wise, now one of my best friends, incredibly talented. And we jumped on a video call at 1 o'clock in the morning, told him what we were trying to do. And he just was like, yeah, I'm in. He's like, if you guys are able to cover my flights, it would be amazing. If not, I'm coming anyway. That was like the nicest thing. Cause once we told him the story, he's like, I'm going to come no matter what.
Yep.
I don't even think he asked for flights. I think we just offered it. Anyway, it didn't even matter. He was just like, I'm there no matter what. we met him once for a photo shoot beforehand because he's like, I want to meet you guys. And then we met him in the RV essentially. And he put this entire
and
thing
you're together for 2 days.
Yeah, 2 days and the rawest of emotions you could think of.
Mhm.
He's just, I mean, a lot happened in the and just him with the camera in our face. And you could, and I remember you could tell how good of a person he was because you saw how much it hurt him to not be helping. And he wanted to like be out there with us. Like I took a pretty bad fall in the middle and you could tell how badly he's like wanted to pick me up and like,
but he's filming
and you like, I saw him, I picture that scene, whatever. I can't unsee that. But yeah, it's like the way that came together. And so we kind of wanted to film it to answer your question, but the universe just made it happen.
It all worked out. It is a beautiful documentary, like absolutely stunning. I looked up, or not, I didn't look him up yet. Sorry, that misword. I wrote down Grayson's name, Grayson Wise. Yeah, I have that because it was so beautifully done. Yeah. And I always like to have people like that are so talented, like on, in a list somewhere, just in case you ever need something videoed.
He should be on top of that list.
Okay, so I got to move him to the top
amazing. Now. Yeah, I remember we did our screening and he had a vision. He's like, I want to get a place a little bit off the beaten path. We were in Greenpoint. At that point, I didn't even know what Greenpoint was. Yeah. We found this random place there. We printed movie posters and we just threw up a party full. Fun. We're like, maybe we'll have our 50 friends come. We had 350 people come that night.
Wow.
The room did not fit 350 people, but people were literally standing outside trying to like peek their head in and see this. It was, his mom drove in, my parents came, like it was so cool. And I mean, it didn't let down. None of us had seen it until that night also. That was all of our first time seeing it. He asked us and we said, we want to see it for the first time with you. Yeah,
I think that's awesome. Because it's nice to enjoy it with the people that you did that with. What was it? Like you guys were 44 hours or something it took you?
Yeah, just about.
So crazy.
Yeah.
I've done a couple of relay races like that. The smells, the tiredness, someone's throwing up. Yeah. Like there's a lot of emotions. The bickering.
Fortunately, we were all good friends. We didn't really have that. But there were definitely more high-strung conversations that were had.
Yeah. Well, and also because all of the emotions, you're doing this for a reason. Your name was the Sam Project. You literally were doing it for your friends. So not only is like, there's tons of teams out there, right? And they're all feeling a lot of the emotions that you guys were feeling, but you also had the other, like almost like that cloud hanging over you guys, that every step that you're taking is for Sam. So no, I think I encourage everybody to please go watch it. But he did write the If It Hurts Good, right?
Yeah. So a little bit of context on both If It Hurts Good and where the name The Sam Project came from. So I technically was a certified coach at some point. I never did it professionally. I just would coach friends for fun and coach myself. And I was helping Sam train for Boston. And as a gift, before the Boston Marathon, he made me a sweatshirt that said The Victor Project. And so when everything happened and we were trying to name this team, the only right thing we could think of was the Sam Project. Related to Boston, and we only knew this later on, was in his journal that he wrote the night before the Boston Marathon. He wrote that If It Hurts Good. And that's where he collapsed with rhabdo the first time. And it was like, when we saw that, we just knew that, like, I wrote, that is my handwriting in, like, when you see the title that's taken out of a journal that, like, I wrote that. And it was just repeating what he had said. It was a tough moment in, like, while we were out there. And I remember writing If It Hurts Good. And Grayson, I think he still has this journal. It's and he like pulled that out and put that as a title.
So cool. Wow. And it's also nice to have that documentary that you guys can always look back on and remember that special weekend is it on a weekend?
It's Friday, Saturday. I guess it's a weekend.
Yeah. Crazy. Well, thank you for talking about Sam. I know he was really well loved in the community. And again, like I said, even earlier, I didn't know you, but I knew of you. And I had seen a lot of that stuff on social media about him. And even on Runner's World, I remember when they, put out or published like a story about him. And as awful as it is, it's stories like that really just put things into perspective of, you don't realize how good you have it until something happens. And so,
Yeah.
well, thank you for talking about him. But
Thank you for asking.
now let's talk about Run Club.
Oh, Run Club.
Oh, Run Club. So you helped build Almost Friday Run Club. What was missing from the running scene that made y'all want to start it?
So Almost Friday Run Club happened by accident. The story before I was a part of said Run Club was there were 4 friends, Sam, Ben, David, Graham, who were trying to find a way to be with each other and hang out. And they essentially decided they're going to train for what is now called the Brooklyn Experience Half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be careful.
Yes. At the time, the Brooklyn Half, even though there are 2 Brooklyn Halves. And they would just get together on Thursdays mornings. They would run together, hang out. And then that was it. And Graham was notorious for what we called business development. He would meet people in public, convince them to come to this Run Club.
Oh my gosh.
And that's where I come into the picture. I used to go to a coffee shop on the Lower East Side called Froth. And there was this guy there, Graham. And I remember it was a Wednesday and it was laundry day. So for me on laundry day, it means I'm on my last pair of shorts. And the last pair of shorts I had were 3-inch red Tracksmith shorts. And I just walk around, I don't care.
Yeah.
And I was working remote, so I have my t-shirt, I have sneakers on, and I'm wearing like these really... And so he just looks at me, he goes, "You must be a runner." And I was like, "How do you know?" He goes, I was like, "Oh yeah." He goes, "Well, we have this Run Club. You should come. We meet every Thursday at 7:00. At the time, my foot was broken. So I was like, okay, as soon as I'm healed, I'll come to this. And a couple months later, I go to this Run Club. There's no club. It's the 4 of them and me. It's like, cool. This is our club.
Yeah.
And over time, his like business development worked more and more. And we added people to this chat. And that's where our friend Molly came in, who he met in the hallway in his building. And we would just meet people out and convince them to come to our club. And that's where like the origin of that group chat. But essentially about, I don't know, probably a year later, we show up one Thursday and there's 40 people there. And we think they're just all in the wrong place because we had never had more than 12 people until that point. I would count every week. I knew how many people we had. I was like, we're going to get bigger. We're going to have 20. And I'm like, who are these people? And I started asking and they're all like, oh yeah, we saw about you guys on TikTok. I'm like, what TikTok? So a friend of ours now, but at the time I didn't know who she was, Jordan Helm. She has the account It Is Jor. She's awesome.
Love her.
Yeah. So she made a video of, and I remember the first line, "It is the summer of run clubs. There are 5 clubs you need to check out."
I think
you might have been one of them.
I think so.
We were one of them. We were not a club. It was the funniest picture. If you look at our Instagram page, there's like 20 followers. It's the same picture every week of us standing. It always rained also. For some reason, we're always wet.
Yep.
And that week, everyone just started showing up. And so at that point, the 5 of us, like the 4 that started and then me, were like, let's lean into this. And that's where the Run Club started, or the actual club of the Run Club started.
So how did the name happen?
So when they started running on Thursdays, they thought it would be funny if they had this account that they just posted that same picture every week. And they ran on Thursdays. So they said they'll call it the Almost Friday Run Club. And it was available and they took it.
That's so funny.
And then the gap that we filled, or the thing that we still lean into today, is that this club is probably among the most casual run clubs in New York. Okay. Which is hard to say, or it's like for people who know who runs in it, like we have a lot of very qualified runners who come.
Yourself included. Most
people have no idea. We run 3 miles. We walk in the middle every week. There's no pace groups. We all run the same pace. It's anywhere from 9:30 to 10:30, depending on the week.
Okay.
And if someone's slower that wants to lead, that's the pace we run. We wait for everyone in the middle because we walk back and then we get coffee. So it is a social first, casual, meet your friends kind of run club. And the reason we all came every Thursday was honestly because it was the only time we got to catch up.
Yeah. Do you have, this is funny, but do people ever ask you what day of the week you guys run?
All the time.
Do you?
All the time. The number of times, you know what's even worse than that? Most people think we run on Fridays. You would think it would either be like a Saturday or
a Wednesday, maybe.
Everyone's like, so you run on Fridays? We're like, no, we're the almost Friday run.
It's not quite Friday.
Maybe we should rebrand to the Not Quite Friday.
Not Quite Friday. Oh my goodness. Well, did you feel like you ever, well, maybe not even that. Did you ever join a run club or run with a run club prior to your not so run club that turned into a run club?
I tried.
Okay.
It's probably one of the reasons I attached so much to this club when I realized there were actually people that were welcoming and inclusive and genuinely just there for friendship.
Mm-hmm.
When I started running, I think a huge gap I found was that community.
Mm-hmm.
This is 2018. And now, very fortunately, and like you're a big reason for this, like it exists. If I want to find community, I could find it. So someone wants to go on a Saturday, they go to No More Lonely Run Club, and they want to go on a Thursday, it's like they come to Almost Friday Run Club. And it exists. But in 2018, this did not exist. And especially at that time, I got pretty competitive pretty quick. And I thought my goal was to run with the faster groups in New York. I mean, you could probably guess the couple clubs that I'm thinking about right now.
Yes.
And I figured if I run fast enough, I'll have a space and I'll get into that chat and I'll be invited to the workouts. And apparently, no matter how fast I ran,
which is fast,
I never had a spot.
What?
It just felt like I was an outsider.
Weird.
And so I thought like, oh, I'll show up to the track. And not to say people weren't like super welcoming.
In person?
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, of course, jump in. Half the group would like recognize I was there. Half the group, it's like I didn't exist. And I was like, what is and the problem was the more that happens, the more you want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Until you finally like something like almost.
They're going to like me.
Yeah. I was like, I'm just going to get fast enough that they have no choice.
Yeah.
And that didn't work. But when you find the thing that finally does click, and for me, it was just showing up on a Thursday morning to this run club.
Mm-hmm.
You're just like, this is what I've been after all along. Like, I don't need people that I'm going to run X workout with. I don't need people that I'm even going to race with.
Yeah.
I just genuinely am looking for a couple of people that I want to spend my life with, or like times of my life.
Mm-hmm. And
then you start to find that and you realize what you were looking for all along.
How long have you guys been around?
Technically 2021.
Okay.
That video was
the 40 people. When was that?
The summer of 2023.
Okay. Oh. Okay, so we're like only months apart of our run clubs because we were.
I remember when you
winter.
guys launched.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, I didn't know that you knew about run club.
Of course I do.
I don't know.
How could you not?
I don't know. I kind of live in a bubble and I forget that I'm public facing and that people know things about me and know that, like, obviously we post on our run club page and all these things. But I think I'm just so in the community that I just feel normal. So I just forget that people know things.
That people know. That's fair. I think for me, I benefit that most people don't know who I am.
Yes.
Especially at run club. So until recently, there's no speeches, there's no anything. No one knows who organized it. We would just show up and at one point somebody would run. Okay. And that was actually one of the things I think made it so easy and inclusive is there was never a hierarchy of been here, not been here. Mm-hmm. Everyone was just there in a mush. And when someone started running, you all just started running. Mm-hmm. And it just, you never felt like, oh, like I should probably try it. Just everyone was on the same playing field.
Yeah.
And so for me, that benefits me a lot because no one has any idea who I am or what I could do.
But it's nice because you kind of just like blend in and you just, you're you. You don't have to be like, I'm one of the faces of this run club. That's nice. Yeah. Sometimes I do wish that I could just blend in and melt in, but there's pros and cons to both of that.
100%.
You know, because I do still show up to run club to have the same benefits as everybody else. But we do speeches and we do pace groups and things like that because in the beginning, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know what pace groups were. Yep. Like I didn't really go to run clubs. Every run club that I knew about was too fast and just too competitive. So it wasn't for me. And when people started asking for or for pace groups was because we were just going out as one. And then naturally we're spreading out. And then some people were being left behind or who you started with was going too fast. You couldn't keep up. And it just was that uncomfortableness. So, but we've always had like the pre and the post run is social. So no matter what paces you're running in the middle of the run, you'll always be able to talk to those people post or pre-run. Let's blend your entrepreneurship with running. So you're building a company while also being deeply involved in the running community. How do those two worlds overlap?
I'll say outside of the worlds itself, what running does for entrepreneurship for me is it creates a sense of delusion that I could do anything. Like that's kind of full stop why one of the things that's so valuable for me is whether it's a long race, whether it's a short race, a fast one, the fact that I think I could do that and then like set my goals to that and luckily accomplish some of those things, I'm like, whatever, I could do anything. It's crazy, but you need to think that. And like, you know this just as much as anyone. In terms of community, I mean, at this point, I would say probably 80% of my life is the people that I've met running. And the reason I only say 80 is 20% is probably just because family and people I grew up with. And even though it's probably less people, like family obviously gets an outsized percent of my pie. Everything from like mentors, people I learned from, people I bounce ideas off of. We were in a co-working space and everywhere I turned, someone's somehow involved in the running community and we overlap. It's just everywhere at this point. And also like, so yeah, everything. I mean, I met my co-founder through running. So it's,
Wait, that's funny. I feel like I have this question here, but you pretty much answered it. I was going to say, do you think endurance athletes make better entrepreneurs? But it kind of feels like you're saying that running has brought this sense of, well, I can do like, not, I mean, I guess delusion, but like I can figure it out. I can do it. Because I think runners or endurance athletes make great entrepreneurs because our mental capacity to do things on top of physical, but the mental strength of we can figure it out.
We know how to suffer.
Like
that's, I actually, we can figure it out, but I actually think even more it's before you figure it out, there's so much time that sucks. Or sucks is a strong word. It does often.
But it does.
But there's also,
running sucks.
Running sucks for so long until it's great. Like not every day is great. Everyone's like, wow, you run every day, you must love it. No, I think I like 1 in 10 runs.
I was going to say 5 out of 6 runs. Awful.
Terrible.
But we chase that one good run.
That's it. And then, and the same with like entrepreneurship. Not every day's great. I get home some days where I start in the middle of the day. I'm like, what am I, like, why am I doing this?
Why are we doing this?
I was like, I could have been a banker right now. I could have been in a cushy office wearing a suit, like
clocking out and going home and not worrying about
shutting that email off, giving it to an analyst, like, hey, go do this thing for me. And I'm like here answering venues emails about their $25 bill. Like, I don't need this.
I think we like torture. I think we like,
we sign up for it.
We pay money.
We choose it.
Self-torture. Like, what are we doing?
Well,
you co-created the NYC grassroots race, the $1 Backyard Ultra, which for those that don't know what that is, it's a 4-mile loop every hour, which is basically the classic Backyard Ultra. But runners put $1 per lap into a pot and the last person wins the pot of money, the pot of gold. Why did you start that?
A little bit as a joke. I feel like everything starts as a joke in some way. Nothing starts serious.
It's not that serious.
Until it's serious. Yeah, it's not that serious. I was DMing Austin Lowe, who's a good friend of mine, met through the running community. I worked out of his office for a year. He's one of my best friends and mentors at this point. Shout out Austin. We were DMing during the BPN Backyard Ultra a couple years ago. Or I guess I keep saying a couple years ago, not even a year ago, 10 months ago. And they're 200 plus miles in and we were like, what if we did something like this in New York? And one thing led to another. I was away. I got back. We went for dinner and we wrote on a napkin, $1 Ultra. And we said, neither of us wants to make money off this. Like, fortunately, I mean, not that I have an income now, but at the time I was like, fortunately, we both like are okay. We want to do something that's really cool, give back to the community. And also that's just fun. So we made this Instagram account, it said $1 Ultra, and we just wrote things on napkins. And it would say like this date and thing. And we just made things up and we were just like, no registration, show up. We had 59 people show up that morning. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. We ordered some random prizes. We said we'd give it away. And we just came up with this idea of like, we're not going to make money. And then it kind of just took off. Like we went from these people just running to then some people sharing. Any post anyone shared that day went like super viral. So by the time that day ended, I think we had 5 to 6 million views on any content that was created about us. Yeah, like we didn't post anything. At a certain point, I'm like, should I just take a video of people running? And I did that, and I got 50,000 views in the hour. And I'm like, what are we even doing? And so
you're like, oops.
We're like, this was an accident. That final video of the winner starting the lap had 1 million views in the next day. It's crazy. Literally someone just.
Wait, who won?
His name is Kieran.
And how much did he win?
I think the pot was around 500 and a brand doubled it. And you have to realize we started with 50 something people and all regular people. Like the idea was the way we created this race and like my goal is to get other people that aren't after the ultra marathon to try things like this. So we were brainstorming ideas of like, what could we do to make people go more laps? And so I just reached out to a lot of the brands I worked with through either Run Club or that just supported me on my adventures. And I asked them to send me things. And I said, I'm going to give these out after laps. So you'd put $1 in the jar and you walked away with a $100 miler t-shirt if you finished that lap. You put $1 in the jar and you got like an entire Bravo Sierra kit. Put $1 in the jar and New Balance gave you a pair of sneakers. So people are staying because for an extra 4 miles that they could walk.
Yep.
So we had people walk away with like $500-$600 in goods after paying $7.
That's so cool.
And so that was like part of the reason this worked, but it was, and like there was a couple things that were like, we're known for at this point. We made these ridiculous t-shirts, which was, we took that first napkin that we had and just printed it on a shirt. And if you'll see random like t-shirts around the city, there's only 100 ever made. We're not making any more. It says $1. That's us. And if you finish 2 laps, you got one of those. If you finish 4 laps, you got a camping chair. Because like, oh, that probably means you're going to stay for a while.
Yeah.
Like Austin and I lost a bunch of money on this race. Like it's okay.
But it's so fun.
It was so fun. And then after that, because it went so viral, we're like, should we do this again? And June 13th is the next race.
So you are doing it again.
It's coming back.
Wait, am I around?
Yeah. We could talk
if I'm in town, I might pop in.
You'll get one of the coveted spots. We opened a formal application for this.
Fun. Oh, okay. So now it's like people have to sign up.
Yeah, but
got it.
We can make room.
Appreciate that.
We are not. Last year we did it on the west side. They don't like us. So we had over 500 people put in a formal written application this year, in addition to the probably 1,000 people who've DM'd us in the last 3 months. We created a fun waitlist experience. We had 5 people get off our waitlist. You have to do a virtual backyard ultra for 24 straight hours to get a spot. We have people doing this, but it's insane what people are willing to do for what we did as a joke.
For the napkin, the $1 napkin.
And we have people flying in from 3 countries and I think 20 states for this race. And this all started at dinner of us riding $1 ultra.
That's so cool.
So we'll be back June 13th.
So this will be the second year.
This will be the second year.
Wow.
We are not announcing any details outside the date.
Okay.
Because it is not on the west side and it is what I will call very urban.
Okay. So when does that get announced? Like when it is? Like the day before?
Yeah, the day before or even at the start. We haven't decided when we're going to tell people where it is. Probably the day before because we have to do a bib pickup. We didn't really do bibs last year. We just took a piece of duct tape and put it on people and just wrote their name. If you go on the west side by Brookfield, one of those pieces is actually still on the ground.
Oh,
it's so funny when I see this.
That's so cool.
So we're 10 months later and this duct tape is just stuck through all the snow. We had 40 inches of snow, so it's still there.
That's actually quite surprising. I've got some questions from our listeners for you. So number 1 would be, what's something that most run clubs get wrong?
I think what most run clubs, at least the ones that I have gone to, get wrong is they become too formal too fast.
Yeah.
The idea of starting a run club, there obviously are some that start with the intention of becoming a business. So if you're becoming formal fast and you want to be a business, great. Not judging. There's so many clubs that they started it because there was a community missing. They realized that where they live or the type of run they want to do or the place they want to run was gone. And immediately they come in and say, great, we're going to have this run club and someone's going to make a speech and we're going to do this thing and we're going to have pace groups. You show up and there's like 6 people there. Just talk to those 6 people and run with those 6 people. And also, I think the other thing I would say is so many run clubs stop when only a couple of people show up like that because they think it's not enough. I would say both of those are mistakes. Part of that is they view run clubs as this like big thing, and credit to all the run clubs that have done that. It's incredible when you show up and there's hundreds of people there. I do think a huge gap are these smaller community run clubs, and they get it wrong that they expect to have all the pieces.
Yes. I agree with that because I don't care if 1 person shows up or 100 people show up. I personally, being a run club founder and leader, I like the smaller groups because then I can make eye contact with every single person. I get so mama bear where when we have more and more people, the more anxiety I get because I just need to make sure that everyone has someone.
Everyone has someone.
No one's left behind.
They know the route.
Yep, exactly. So I actually like the smaller. Yeah, no, I totally like the smaller groups. How do you stay disciplined when you don't feel motivated?
You just do it, I guess. I don't know if that's a great answer, but I don't feel motivated a lot of the time, but just by repetition, it just becomes part of who you are. I could tell you there's not many days where I wake up at 5 and think, wow, I'm so excited to go do this run in -19 degree weather. you wake up, you get out there, you do it, and then when you do it enough times, you just, I don't know, it works.
It becomes literally just part of your routine.
Part of your routine.
Yeah.
The hard part then is like finding the thing that fills your cup when that becomes too routine.
Yeah.
But
yep. Then you sign up for a raise.
That is the rabbit hole I'm avoiding right now.
Yep. What would you tell somebody that's sitting in a stable job thinking about taking the leap into entrepreneurship?
I'm going to say this from a point of what I know is privilege. Like I had the background and fortunately like the earlier career to take a leap like this. Go all in. You can't do it part-time. You can't do it well part-time. If your goal is to make this everything, make it everything now. I look at what we've built and even what we're building now, I would have done a lot of things different. And the things I would have done different are take the swings that I'm taking now 2 years ago. And so that would be my biggest advice. Like go all in now, take those risks now. I'd rather fail in 3 months than fail in 2 years.
That's great. Well, because time is your greatest asset.
Yeah.
So take those big swings right from the get-go. Well, you're very fast. Very fast. Very fast. I hope you understand that.
I don't know
say it again.
about
Very
that.
fast. But you built a run club where pace doesn't matter. Why?
For a couple reasons. One of this is actually credit to Sam. In the early days, I complained. I didn't understand, at least for certain parts, why we were moving as slow as we were. The other thing, and I think this is something most early runners get wrong. I actually think a large part of the running community is getting this wrong right now. Everyone's taking running too seriously. And I think everyone is, I need to move this pace and I need to do this if I want to do that. And the biggest unlock is running slower. And so on the backs of Sam pushing us towards, we're going to run at the pace of the lowest common denominator, which is so community oriented. And I wish I could have taken credit for that, but I'm so glad it was him. And also just looking at all of the training and the apps and everyone telling everyone to do these intervals and these things, like you don't need to do that. Like most of us, myself included, could get faster by just running more slower. Those are like the two reasons we continue to lean in there.
I love that. Well, we're going to end with a couple of rapid fire questions. So these are short answers only.
Cool. All right.
Okay?
I will not go long on these.
No, honestly, if there's something that you needed to say, you say it. What's something about starting a business that people completely underestimate?
The logistics.
What is your favorite distance to race?
So the very dangerous question.
The speed project.
It's longer. I don't know. I'm looking for what's next, and it's not the marathon. It's got to be longer. Sorry,
okay.
Mom.
So your ultras is your
lately.
Okay.
I think there's something fun in the speed. There's something really special about that multi-day endurance race.
There is. You go through so many emotions. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
What does running give you that nothing else does?
Delusion.
Who are you without running?
This isn't to sound crazy. I'm lost. Like that sounds so scary to say, but yeah, I'm lost.
I would say the same thing.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Running's my identity.
It's most of my
job.
identity these days.
What do you hope people feel when they show up to something that you've created?
I hope they feel a sense of belonging. Like this is not Almost Friday Run Club. This is my run club. This isn't a party place event. It's my party. It's not like my goal is always to create settings where people feel like they, more than they belong, like it's theirs.
What's something about the running community that outsiders don't understand?
What the outsider doesn't understand is it's not all about the outcome. Everyone, I mean, for good reason, you watch the New York City Marathon, you watch the Chicago Marathon, you see the social media, everyone's posting about these race weekends and these things, including the Dollar Ultra. I'll take blame on that one. But they don't realize that most people that show up aren't showing up for that. They're showing up for a sense of belonging and a sense of friendship and community. And if outsiders realize that, I think they would come more often. Agree.
Well, before we wrap up, where can people find you, run with you, support you?
You can find me in, it's funny, I'm not really a social media presence, but if you follow me on Instagram, I'm there. I don't post often, but you'll see stuff at Vic Z, I guess. Support me, go to partyplace.com, run with me, come to Almost Friday Run Club on Thursdays, or just shoot me a message. I like running with people. I'll figure it out.
Really quickly, can you explain what the Speed Project is?
The Speed Project is an unsanctioned race, meaning it's not particularly legal. It has a starting and an end point, and that start point is LA, and the end point is the Welcome to Las Vegas sign. Essentially, they say go, and you find way by foot, whether with a team or solo, to get all the way to Vegas. That's how it started. Now they do it in a couple of locations, including the wonderful Atacama Desert.
And that's where you...
That's the second solo race I had done. And so it's just a race across the driest desert on Earth and the closest there is to Mars on Earth.
And how many miles is it?
It's unsanctioned, so it's however quickly you could get there. Around 310.
And you did that solo?
Twice. Yeah, once from LA to Vegas and once from Pica to wherever. And
you won?
I won the Atacama race.
Of course you did. So you won a race on Mars, is what you're saying?
What felt like Mars.
That's so cool. Are you going to do it again?
I don't think so. I couldn't do that one again.
Okay.
I look back very fondly on certain moments from that race. That was the hardest thing I've ever had to put myself through in my life. And I can't imagine knowing how bad it was, signing up to doing it again.
Yeah. Well, I hope you do another Speed Project. I think it'd be so fun to watch. Maybe I'll jump into it one of these days.
Yeah, we could do it solo together. We'll run side by side.
Yeah, no. I would be on a team.
Okay.
I need to break that. Yeah, no, I can't do 300 miles. I want to thank you, obviously, for coming on here, sharing your story, sharing Sam's, your story a little bit as well. Really enjoyed this conversation. And maybe, one, I have to come to Almost Friday Run Club. Maybe we could do a little run club crossover here.
Love this.
I would love that. But I'm excited to see what's next for you. I'm excited to see what race you sign up for next. And also with this $1 backyard ultra, I'm really excited to see what happens this year. So keep me in the loop, because even if I can come spectate, I would love to watch. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course.